Hi, everybody. Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Uh, let's just dive in with these 7 stories, starting with The Hogwarts Strike Team by Myricle. And so this is a Harry and Hermione Harry Potter time travel story where Harry and Hermione are pretty jaded and a lot more proactive than honestly most of a lot of like varied stories that I come across. Like they're these Harry and Hermione are usually just like ready to go out and just start killing everybody because like they've dealt with a world where they killed Voldemort. Voldemort had a backup plan which just sent like magical storms and everything against the world. And also in that time, people just decided to say screw it and just started going around becoming murder hobos. Like so they're very much like on the side of permanently removing some opposition, and it leads to some new developments that are really interesting. Like I said, like the reason for why the time travel happens gives Voldemort a lot more credit than most of the fics that I read do, where he's just super powerful and such. Like here, he's actually kind of intelligent with how he set up this backup plan. And Harry and Hermione's relationship grows nicely. Like in the future or original timeline, she was still with Ron, and now because they're the only ones back and stuff is changing, they're there. And the last chapters before it leaves unfinished has a nice little morality panic that actually feels earned, not just and also works, not just is like, oh, just should we kill the obvious rapists and slavers and stuff. Like no, there's actual dilemma and stuff. Um, but we get basically the first 2 years of Hogwarts and the summer before the third, and it's definitely worth reading. I'm gonna say it stays on my list. Next is reading the Unrelenting Frozen Seas by Bonesboy15. This is another of the reading fix collaborations between Bonesboy and Engineer Forever, where now after they read the story where Femme Harry is the daughter of Zeus, now they're reading the story where Femme Harry is the daughter of Poseidon. This story that they're reading is actually one that I just talked about in the previous video last time, and so I like the story there. And here, the reactions themselves are enjoyable. There's no huge like gut busting reaction moments or like over the top moments, but it's just engaging and good enough, and it doesn't really get drawn into the same repetitive arguments over and over again. Not much to say, but it's a good react fic. It's gonna stay on my list. Next is Remnant's Reclaimer by Hysterical, Clerical, Hijinks. This is a Ruby time travel fic that was again published and started in 2014. This is back when like we only knew, I think only volume 3 was out of Ruby, so we just knew about the Fall of Beacon, nothing else. So it's been a long time since I've read a story where the source material and the time frame of the story is this new. And like so like it's actually saying I had written it down. It's we only knew volume 2, so it's like the interpretation of the characters, the setting is a lot different from what you'd expect from a modern Ruby. Like there's no mentions of Salem or Tyrion or maidens because we didn't know any of that stuff at that time. Instead, we have Ruby coming back to stop Cinder's evil plan of becoming Queen of Remnant. I'm sorry, not Remnant. Vale, which is like interesting, like and valid for like going into possibly like taking what was there. Um, Sadly, we don't get a lot of actual direct action against this big bad and seeing how this author envisioned Cinder and her plan to be. Um, but it still gives us a lot of drama. It's a lot of more relationship drama, though there is like 1 or 2 big fight scenes. One of them especially being like against a 1,000-year-old dragon grim that was the real reason why Mountain Glen failed and stuff. And also, but that is like it's written like a huge monster hunter fight, like, and it's that's really great. And I really liked also the relationship bits with older Ruby and stuff, going around and talking with people and her family. I think it's really fun. I had a great time revisiting this, and think people who like Ruby will enjoy this for a change of pace and seeing a nice glimpse of what we thought early RWBY could become, and it's going to stay on my list. Next is Koma Shoken Swirling War by Pain 17ification. This is a sequel story to where Naruto gets the My Little Pony summoning contract and becomes Kage of his own village. And that all happens in the previous story before Shippuden starts, and this is Shippuden. And we have 4 chapters here that move pretty quick, which involve him coming back to visit Konoha and then rescuing Gaara, and while having enough time to remove Anko's curse seal and such, and grab Hanabi as an apprentice. Like, a lot of things happen, but I only found the original story to be pretty mediocre, and I didn't really remember anything of it when I was coming in to read this, so I had to go back and look at my review for the old story. As such, the relationships and drama that this slightly alludes to in the little amount of time from moving from place to place and point to point didn't really do anything except confuse me, and also what is here is not enough for a thing to live on its own, so it's not really, it's gonna fall off my list. Now we come to Rewind, Reshuffle, Redux by Reshuffle. And this is a Persona 3, essentially time travel-esque fic, where Minato, I still call him Minato, I don't care if people say Makoto Yuki is the more official one, I say Minato Arasato, he's always going to be Minato to me. But Minato gets sent to, so after completing his journey and becoming the seal, he wakes up and is somehow transported to the P3P universe, and he has to relive his junior year and now also help out with Femc. Minato and Hamako, the Femc, both play off each other pretty well, and Hamako is different enough that if this had continued, I could see the others growing in even without it continuing, even in just the small amounts we have here, we can already see some of the relationships growing in a different way than they do in regular male Minato's timeline. I've never actually played Persona 3 Portable, so I don't know how the actual relationships grow up in that. I do know that you get, obviously, the social link with Akihiko, Junpei, and these things becomes a thing because of can be romantic because she's female now. But the problem with this story is that it just barely gets past the tutorial. It's just a thing where it's it's interesting, it had a lot of promise, I just wish there was more, and what is here is just set up and not enough to be worth revisiting again and again, so it's going to fall off my list. Second to last, we have Sean Bean Saves Westeros, Book 2, Sean Wins by a Nose by High Plains Drifter. So this one it's a sequel to the previous one where Sean Bean, after filming, I think season 1 or 2 of the show. Well, I think he was only in season 1, but I don't know the time frame of the actual for his port. But basically, he gets ported into Westeros after Ned Stark dies and basically replaces Ned Stark. It's interesting because now we have to deal with all the changes that he's done. With now he made Stannis king of the thing, and Melisandre is still saying everything, trying to get the Red God and the Fire God up and running, and they make themselves basically new antagonists to the thing. It continues in the vein of the first story where everybody and it jumps to a lot of other characters. Everybody's scheming for their own ends, and ends with another chunk of this tale with a lot of stuff being resolved, and then setting up that in the book 3 now Melisandre is now going to be in open warfare against Ned and stuff, so that's there. If you enjoyed the first story, you'll enjoy this one. There's not much else to say about it. I'll just be honest, I was really just not in the mood while reading this story. I don't think it's bad. Like I said, it's very similar to the first, and I kept the first on my list, and I'm keeping this one. Even though right now I'm not feeling too hyped for it because I was just not in the mood, and I didn't want to wait to be in a better mood to read this story because that would have made this videos and takes way too long, and I already am taking so slowly, so I gotta definitely pick up the pace. But this is going to stay on my list. Okay, and the last one we have here is Brockton Overdrive by John Wood. And this is a short, non-linear series of small scenes where Taylor in the locker basically gets empowered with the powers of the protagonist from Sunset Overdrive, along with all the shits she had to give, which was basically none. The game's humor, which the story apes nicely, is very much in the vein of like super like what you would when you see, like when you think of the obnoxious Deadpool stuff, like the obvious fourth wall breaking, the super like obvious references, things like that. It's like, yeah, it's annoying and stuff, and I can totally get that a lot of people will be annoyed. But that same style of stuff is why I love that game, and I like this story a lot. Like, it's all this obvious stupid jokes that I freaking love. You don't. There's not much here aside from like very small sits, like very small scenes that go up to basically Dinah's kidnapping, essentially, in a sense. But it paints a very fun picture of who Taylor has become as like a force of nature, and also that the Bay is not ready to deal with this out of context problem of Taylor not giving a fuck. I really enjoyed it. It's gonna stay on my list. So there we go. Fan fiction status time. I've now read 1,099 stories, almost 1,100, 1,099, and 518 of them have stayed on my list. So there we go. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I will leave links to the stories in the description, as well as links to my profile and the forum where I post this all in written form. So give that all a look, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.